Hi guys, tonight's story is Dark Secrets Medieval Kings Never Wanted You to Know. Prepare yourself. This is not just history. This is the twisted, treacherous truth that was buried behind velvet curtains and bloodied crowns. Tales no historian dared to whisper. Secrets that were meant to die with the kings who held them. So dim the lights, turn off the world, and let me take you into the cold, whispering halls of medieval power. The king's mirror never lies. You stand in a stone corridor, not as a peasant, not as a knight, but as a royal servant, a silent witness in the service of King Alaric IV, a ruler known for his cruelty, whispered to have sealed deals not just with dukes and nobles, but with things that crawl in the dark. The corridor smells of rust and roses. The rust is blood. The roses? Perfume meant to hide it. A handmaiden rushes past you, her eyes downcast, her lips trembling. She's seen something, or maybe someone. She clutches a velvet pouch. You know what's inside. A shard of the queen's mirror. You weren't supposed to see that mirror. No one was. The queen's mirror was made from obsidian stolen from a pagan temple in the Alps. It didn't reflect what you looked like. It showed what you are, and worse, what you've done. The king used to spend hours in front of it, naked, silent, breathing, watching himself shift into something that wasn't quite human. No one dared to ask why, but one night the mirror cracked, and the queen screamed so loud, the birds fell dead from the sky. She died a week later. They said it was poison, but her body was untouched, cold and perfect, as if death had politely whispered in her ear and she simply nodded. Since then, the king never looked in any mirror again, and no one was allowed to speak her name, except you. You've whispered it in the dark. You've seen what others haven't, and that's why tonight you're being summoned. There is a door, one only the dead and the damned ever pass through, and it's open, waiting. A guard in iron-black armor gestures without words. You descend the spiral staircase. The air grows heavier with each step, until there are no torches, no light, only the soft humming sound of something alive. Then you hear him, the king, Alaric IV, his voice like gravel soaked in wine. You've been loyal. I know your eyes have wandered, but still you have not spoken. You have not betrayed me. That is rare. That is valuable. A cold hand touches your shoulder, but he's not standing behind you. He's in front of you. Who just touched you? You're led into the Hall of Thorns, a secret chamber beneath the castle. It's lined with vines, black, thorny, alive. They twitch when you breathe. In the center is a book, bound in human skin, written in a language that predates Latin. He gestures. Read it aloud. You hesitate. One word leaps from the page. It burns itself into your mind. Thorin. The vines recoil. The torches die. And something opens behind the wall. A soft moan. A child's voice. I never wanted to be born. The king laughs. Now you see, he says, what kings must bury, what secrets we inherit. He hands you a ring, not gold, but bone carved into the shape of a weeping eye. You are my new confessor, he says, not a priest, not a servant, but someone who carries the weight of what must never be spoken. In the coming days, you'll learn of his father's pact with a demon under the Pyrenees. You'll find out why the royal fountain runs warm at midnight. You'll learn why no birds ever nest in the northern tower, and why every mirror in the castle is face downward, covered in black cloth. Because if a mirror faces the wrong direction at the wrong hour, something else looks back. But this is only the beginning. The story you're part of was never meant to be heard, and yet here you are, listening. Whispers will come in your sleep. A crown will appear in your dreams, and soon you'll see that the kings of old did not rule with power. They ruled with fear. The dinner of the drowned. The ring is heavier than it looks. Presses into your palm like it's pulsing. Alive. You try to slip it into your satchel, but the moment you do, you hear a sound like weeping. Not yours, not the king's. Something deeper, older. You look up. The king has already turned away. His cloak trails behind him like a shadow that chooses not to leave. You'll attend tonight's feast, he says, without facing you. Not as a guest, as a witness. And then he's gone. The door behind you seals without a sound. You return to your quarters, but something is wrong. Your bed is still warm. You've been gone for hours, but someone's just left. There's mud on the floor. Your ink is spilled. And the queen's name, the one you never dared write, is scratched into the stone wall above your bed. Alira. Just that. Nothing else. But that name hasn't been spoken aloud since the day the mirror cracked. That night, the feast begins without laughter. No music. No cheer. Only the scraping of silver and the low thunder of rain outside the stained glass windows. You sit at the far end of the king's table. No one looks at you, but every noble's eyes flicker with suspicion. They've seen the ring. They know what it means. You are the new confessor, and that means someone will die tonight. The king raises his goblet. Let us toast, he says, to the drowned. The room freezes. No one drinks, because to speak of the drowned is to speak of them. There is a legend, whispered only in kitchens and graveyards, of a time when the royal court hosted a secret society, the Order of the Drowned Sons. They weren't soldiers. They weren't priests. They were born still, and then brought back. Chosen infants taken from poor mothers were drowned at birth, then dragged into a saltwater pool beneath the castle. If they cried again even once, they were raised and trained to serve the throne. But something went wrong. The 13th drowned child never stopped crying. Even as a man, his cries echoed down the well at midnight. And one day, the king ordered him sealed beneath the banquet hall. Alive. Tonight's feast is held in that very hall. And beneath your feet, you feel it. A heartbeat, not your own, not the king's. Something is awake beneath the floor. The first course is served. Black eels in wine, boiled swan tongues, bread dyed red. You pick at your plate, but your eyes wander. To the duke whose hand shakes, to the princess whose gown has a tear, like she ran from someone, to the cupbearer, sweating too much for a winter night. And then, the floor shudders. A single note hums through the stone. Low, hollow, like a funeral bell struck underwater. The king does not blink. Bring the basin, he commands. 2 servants enter, carrying a large silver bowl filled with cold brine. You know what this is. Every confessor does. It's the trial of the salt, an ancient ritual. When someone is suspected of treason or sorcery, they must wash their hands in the water. If the salt foams, the guilt is confirmed. Tonight, the basin is passed around the table. One by one, nobles dip their hands. Clear, 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 until it reaches the Marquis of Alder Vale. His hand trembles as it enters the water. And then foam, dark, red, alive. The basin screams. Yes, screams. As if it remembers pain. The nobles leap from their seats. The king rises, calm. So it was you, he says. You who fed the drowned boy blood in his sleep. The Marquis begins to convulse. His skin blisters. Salt burns through his veins. His eyes go white. And before anyone can help him, he falls backward, cracking through the wooden floor, down into the darkness. Gone. The screaming stops. No one speaks. No one breathes. The king sits again and smiles. One more whisper buried, he says. After the feast, you are summoned again. This time by a child. A girl no more than 6, wearing robes too large for her, as far too old. She says nothing, but leads you through the halls, barefoot, silent. You pass the queen's abandoned chamber. The door is slightly ajar. Inside, mirrors, hundreds, all faced inward, and in each one, the queen's face, smiling, not dead, not alive, watching. The girl leads you down into the catacombs, where the bones of kings are stacked like firewood, where the rats don't run, they kneel. And there, by candlelight, you see it, the 13th drowned son, still alive, chained, mouth sewn shut, but still crying, tears of salt. He reaches toward you, and in your mind, you hear a whisper, "Tell my story." The king doesn't want this secret known. No bard will sing it, no monk will write it, but you are the confessor. And now the salt runs in your blood, too. The girl speaks, finally, only 4 words. He remembers your face, but you've never seen him before. Have you? Have you? The boy who ate the crown. You barely sleep that night. You try, but every time your eyes close, you hear the same soft sound, the rattling of chains in water, and the words. He remembers your face. You rise before dawn. The corridors are empty, too empty. Even the rats have fled. There is a rule in the castle. No one walks alone before sunrise, because shadows here do not wait for light. They move before it. You head toward the library, the secret one, buried behind the chapel. It smells of burning hair and damp feathers. Only confessors are allowed here. This is where forbidden pages live, where the truth hides in stitched leather and silent ink. You search for a name, a face, something to explain the drowned boy's whisper. You find nothing, until a loose tile shifts beneath your boot. You lift it, and find a tiny scroll, bound in hair, sealed with wax shaped like an eye. You unroll it with shaking hands, and read the title, The Boy Who Ate the Crown. It is not a tale, it's a record. An incident buried 74 years ago tells of a royal banquet, a child prince, a golden crown, and hunger, real hunger, the kind that makes bones rattle, the kind that no food satisfies. The boy was said to be born during an eclipse, with no shadow, with teeth already formed. One night, during a feast of falcon hearts and blood soup, he reached across the table, not for bread, not for wine, but for the crown on his father's head. He placed it on his tongue and swallowed whole. The next day, the king was dead, his body untouched, his crown missing. The boy was chained, sealed beneath the throne room, but not killed, because killing a prince curses the bloodline. Instead, he was erased from records, from portraits, from memory, except the scroll. You lower the scroll and realize your hand is bleeding. The ring, the bone ring the king gave you, is tightened, sinking into your flesh, almost a hungry. You leave the library and stumble into a corridor you don't recognize. It's not on any map, not on any floor. It shouldn't exist. The walls are soft, not stone, flesh, veined, breathing. You run your fingers across it. It shudders. At the end of the corridor is a door. It has no handle, only a mouth, and it's smiling. You don't knock. You whisper, "Alira," the queen's name. The door opens. Inside is a single candle, and behind it a throne, but not the king's, smaller, made of bone and ash, and upon it sits a child, eyes black, skin gray, mouth stitched with gold thread. He raises one hand, and you feel your heart stop, not metaphorically, literally. No beat, no breath, just silence. And in that silence, you hear everything. Screams, laughter, claws on stone, a woman's voice, whispering your name over and over, like a curse and a lullaby. Then breath returns. The boy is gone. The candle snuffed. The door closed. You awake in your chambers. But something is different. There's a portrait above your fireplace. You've never seen it before. It's you, but not as you are. Your eyes are black. Your mouth is stitched with gold. And on your head is a crown. Not worn, but eaten. You flee the room. The guards see you and turn away. Even they fear what's changed. You run to the king. You find him not in the throne room, but in the bathhouse, alone, silent. The water is red. He looks up. His face is pale. There are things, he says, that even kings cannot control. Things buried too deep to stay dead. You want to scream, to run, to undo the last few days, but you can't, because you're not just the confessor anymore. You are the heir of secrets, a title that comes with a duty and a curse. Page is slid under the door. A letter, no seal, no name, just 6 words. He wants it back, the crown. You look up and see a shadow moving inside the wall, not behind it, inside it. It watches and waits. The throne that whispers back. You don't open the letter again. You don't need to. The words are carved behind your eyelids now. He wants it back, the crown. You stare at your reflection in the window. Your mouth, your eyes, still yours for now. But the portrait in your chamber had told the future. And you know this kingdom no longer belongs to the living. The next morning, the bells don't ring. And in this castle, when the bells fall silent, someone has died. You step into the corridor and smell copper and cloves. Terrible mix. The scent of royal blood and cover-up spices. A guard bows. No words, just a trembling gesture. He points toward the Chapel of Silence. The chapel is older than the castle itself. Built by monks who never spoke, never ate, and were never buried. They were bricked into the walls when they died. Their bones still whisper if you listen too closely. You pass under the arch and find him, the court alchemist, sprawled across the altar, eyes open, mouth filled with ash, written across his chest in powdered gold. Too late to burn it. You kneel beside the body. In his fingers, a torn scrap of vellum. You pry it loose, a diagram of the throne, but not the one in the hall. This is older, deeper, built not of stone, but voices. The whisper throne. It's labeled. Location, unknown. Purpose, listening. Suddenly, a voice behind you. Soft, female. You're not supposed to be here yet. You spin around. It's her. The girl from before. Only now, she's grown. Her eyes the same, but her face aged years overnight. You open the door, she says. You saw the boy. You nod. She sighs. Then he's chosen you. The throne will wake again, and it will speak. But you must not answer. Back in the royal hall, the king is gone, vanished. His throne sits cold, but not empty. There's a mark on the seat, a spiral, freshly burned. You trace it with your finger and hear your name, spoken behind your ear, whispered by the throne itself. You stagger back. Your ring glows. Then, from the walls, a door opens, one you've never seen before. No guards, no windows, only a stairway spiraling downward. You descend. Hours pass, maybe days. There is no time here, only heartbeat echoes and dripping stone. At last, you reach it. The throne is real, the whisper throne. It is carved from black stone, veined with gold. Not natural gold, molten script. It writhes across the surface like living text. Voices hum from within it, thousands, layered like a choir underwater. But there is one voice louder than all. Your voice, speaking things you have never said, yet somehow remember. You approach, but your legs freeze. The ring on your hand bends backward, cracking your finger. It wants to leave. It wants to return. You let it fall. The throne swallows it. And then it speaks, clearly, directly. Confessor, do you wish to know the first secret? You don't answer, but your silence is enough. The world spins. Stone peels back like paper, and suddenly you are elsewhere, a memory not your own. You stand in a frozen courtyard, snow falling sideways. A boy king weeps before a fire. He's burning something. Letters, dozens, each one marked with a red seal, shaped like a serpent devouring its own tail. Behind him stands a man, tall, robed in silver fur. You realize with horror it's you, or it was. In another life, the boy king turns. You said no one would find out, he cries. The past you says nothing, just holds out a golden ring. The same ring. The boy nods and walks into the flames. You are back, in the whisper throne, sweating, shaking. Your lips move before you can stop them. It was me. And the throne replies, yes, and it always will be. You stumble away, but you're not alone. A figure rises from the darkness. Not human, not dead, something forgotten. It drags a broken scepter, its face stitched shut like the boy in the bone room, and on its brow a crown, half-eaten, speaks not with words but memory. You see every secret. The queen never died. She split. The royal wine is mixed with the blood of prophets. Every knight wears armor forged from melted saints. The kingdom's map is wrong. Half of it doesn't exist. And worse, the true king was never crowned. He was swallowed. You run, back up the spiral stairs. But the steps keep shifting, rearranging. Every turn brings you back to the throne. Each time it whispers more, confess, confess, confess. And finally, you scream, then silence, cold. You are outside, on the castle ramparts, snow falling. Morning has come, but no sun, just gray. And behind you, the king stands, face hollow, eyes tired. You heard it, didn't you? You nod. He places a hand on your shoulder and says only, then it's time for your coronation. The coronation of the forgotten. The crown does not rest on your head. It hovers, like it's unsure, like it remembers. And in that moment, with the king's cold hand on your shoulder, you understand something terrible. This coronation isn't for honor. It's for containment. You stand upon the ancient stone platform atop the tower, wind howling through broken gargoyles. Beneath, the kingdom still sleeps, but the birds won't fly today, not while this ceremony unfolds. The king steps back, for silent monks emerge from the mist. Each holds an object, a dagger made of candle wax, a scroll bound in teeth, a chalice filled with shadows, and a blindfold stitched with strands of the late queen's hair. They circle you. No words, no music, only breath. The blindfold is tied around your eyes. The world disappears. And then, the whispers begin. Not in your ears, inside your chest. Voices that speak in your own tone, but say things you've never said. I let the boy drown. I swallowed the oath. I kept the mirror open. You shake, but you do not run, because running never mattered. You were chosen long ago. The chalice is raised to your lips. You drink the shadows. They are warm and bitter, like forgotten prayers. You collapse and awaken underground. There is no ceremony, Not really. That was just the unlocking. Now comes the real coronation. You lie in a stone cradle. Above you, a ceiling of bone. It moves, breathes, eyes blink between the cracks. You are not alone. You are never alone here. Something steps into the room. You don't hear it, you feel it. His presence is cold and regal. Not the king. Older than that. It speaks through teeth it doesn't have. Every king wears lies like silk. But you shall wear truth. Like iron. A weight is pressed against your forehead. The crown. At last. But not of gold. This one is made of roots. Still alive. Still searching. They curl around your skull. Pierce your skin. And with every root, a memory blooms. Not yours. Theirs. The kings before. You see, a monarch who poisoned his own heirs to remain immortal. A ruler who spoke to ravens, but only on nights he killed a prisoner. A queen who locked her soul in the castle walls, and now weeps behind every stone. A prince who wore his mother's face, literally, stitched to his own after her death. Each memory burns. Each one stays. You try to scream, but the roots keep your jaw tight. No screams, only silence, because silence is royal. Then the roots pull back. The crown fuses. You are changed, not visibly, but deeply. You no longer flinch at secrets. You understand now. A king does not rule by sword. He rules by what is never said. You rise, back in the throne room, but everyone's gaze is strange. Even the king looks unsure, because no one expected you to survive. Yet here you are, crowned, and still breathing. The king stands, offers you a sealed box, made of bone and stained velvet. Your first gift, he says. You open it. Inside, a single feather, black, cold, still wet. You know what it means. A raven, a message, a threat. The northern bloodline has awoken. They know you've been crowned, and they will come, because once, long ago, their crown was stolen, and this might be it. A court scribe approaches you in the night. He speaks in reverse, every word backward, because truth can't travel directly anymore. You piece it together. The message: 3 kings sleep beneath the northern lake. If they rise, the roots will rot. The crown will split. The throne will scream. You understand now why the king crowned you, why he passed the ring, why he let you see the drowned boy, the whispering throne, the child who ate his future. Because he is not trying to protect the kingdom. He's trying to survive it. And you are the wall between the living and what waits in the water. In your sleep that night, you dream of the lake, frozen, still, quiet, until a finger breaks the ice. Then another, and from beneath, 3 crowns begin to rise. The kings beneath the lake. The next morning, the sun rises, but refuses to shine. Clouds hover like vultures over the stone peaks, and the castle seems to breathe slower. You are summoned, not by the king, not by the monks, but by the mirror. Yes, that mirror, the one cracked by Queen Elira's scream, the one hidden for years behind stone and spell, has been moved, placed in your chamber. No explanation. It stands at the foot of your bed, draped in a cloth that smells of ashes and rosemary. You approach. Your hand trembles, and you pull the cloth away. You do not see yourself. You see a lake, still, black, surrounded by pine trees whispering secrets in the wind. A woman stands on its frozen surface, barefoot, blindfolded, holding 3 chains. Each chain sinks into the ice. Each one moves. Something beneath is pulling, slowly, rising. The mirror cracks once more, but not from within. This time, the crack forms on the outside, like it's trying to warn you. The door slams. You whirl around. A crow sits on your windowsill. Its beak is wrapped in red twine. A scroll dangles from its claw. The northern bloodline has sent you a message. You unroll it. 5 words, scrawled in rust-colored ink. Come alone, or not at all. That night you ride, alone, through black forests and whispering winds. The trees seem to lean closer as you pass, their branches brushing your shoulders, as if testing your worth. The moon disappears behind you, not hidden, fled. At dawn, you reach the lake. It doesn't look like a place. It looks like a thought left unfinished. Silent, cold, expecting you. The woman from the mirror is there, still blindfolded, still holding the chains. She does not speak. She doesn't need to, because the lake begins to break. A crown surfaces first. Simple, black iron, then a hand, then another, then 3 forms rise together. Pale, tall, wrapped in robes woven with vows. Yes, vows. Each thread is a broken promise. Each robe carries thousands. You cannot see their faces, only their mouths, all sewn shut, but still whispering. They stand before you, and something ancient moves beneath your skin. The crown you wear tightens. It knows them, fears them, and suddenly, so do you. The woman finally speaks. The last king fed them lies. You must feed them truth. You ask, what truth? She lifts one hand, and a vision floods your eyes. You see the king Alaric IV, as a boy, drenched in blood not his own. A pact being made with the drowned prince. A soul traded, not his, yours. You scream, because you were never born. You were made. In the deal, a child of whispers, a confessor grown from a curse. That's why the roots accepted you. That's why the mirror never cracked for you. You're not human. You're a continuation. The 3 kings kneel and offer you a blade, black, curved, cold as lake water. To accept it is to break the line. To reject it is to serve the king forever. You reach and take it. The blade bites into your palm, and blood falls, but not red, not human. The ground quakes, the lake boils, the dead scream. The 3 kings begin to rot, not collapse, melt, like memory exposed to light. And in their place, a throne rises from the lake, not one you can sit on, but one that watches and waits, a throne of questions. The woman hands you her blindfold. I see nothing now. You must see everything. You tie it over your eyes. Darkness, then clarity. You see every secret. The royal line never ruled. The throne did. The castle was built over a forgotten mouth. And it speaks. Every feast is a ritual. Every toast a sacrifice. No king has ever died. They are recycled, changed, reused, decorated. And worst of all, you are next. You return to the castle at nightfall. But it's changed. It breathes louder now. The walls feel closer. The servants no longer blink. And at your door, a gift waits, wrapped in velvet. You open it. Inside, a second crown. But this one, it has teeth, and it's already smiling. The feast of unmaking. The crown with teeth does not wait for your permission. It climbs. While you sleep, while you dream, it slithers up from its velvet prison, coils around your brow, and bites, not into your skin, into your memories. You wake screaming, but not because of pain, because you don't remember your name anymore, only your role, the keeper of the feast. The bells ring once, twice, 12 times. It's the 12th night, not a holiday, a harvest. Tonight is the feast of unmaking. No guest refuses the invitation, not even the dead. The banquet hall is reborn. Gold drips from the ceiling. Tapestries shift scenes as you walk past. one moment they show hunts, then fires, then something with too many eyes looking back at you. At the center of the table, a single roasted heart, still beating, still watching. The king sits at the far end, but he is no longer the man you remember. He wears a new face, yours, but older, sharper, as if it had seen things your flesh hasn't yet dared to imagine. And beside him, Queen Alira, only she smiles now, and her eyes are gone. 2 candles flicker in her sockets. Steady, silent, guests arrive. None knock, they simply step from the walls, or pour from the shadows like wine. Some are nobles, some are nothing but robes and teeth. Some are kings you recognize from books, others aren't human at all, but they all bow to you, because tonight you are the host. A servant made of wax and wind places a scroll in your hand. The menu, you unroll it. It reads, Course 1, the betrayal of language. Course 2, the ashes of time. Course 3, the names of the nameless. Course 4, you. You look up. Every guest is staring at you, smiling, with hunger. The first course is served. Tongues, but not cooked, still moving. Each one whispers a different language into your ears. Some real, some extinct, some not meant for sound. Your ears bleed knowledge, and then forget it. You try to speak, but your voice escapes as smoke. They laugh, politely. The second course, ashes of time. It's a bowl filled with clocks, pocket watches, sundials, broken hourglasses, each one still ticking. You pick one up, ticks faster, faster, until it explodes, releasing a scream that belonged to your childhood. You try another. It weeps. You're told not to waste the dish, so you eat the scream. Tastes like regret and summer. The third course is the hardest. A silver plate, empty. Then slowly names begin to appear. Your mother's, your father's, yourself as a child, yourself last night, yourself tomorrow. Then strangers, hundreds, thousands. The names don't stop. You realize this isn't a course. It's a catalog. You are being chosen, prepared, counted. The fork in your hand turns into a quill, and you must sign. So you do. You choose one name to erase forever. You choose yours. The final course is silence. The hall dims. Guests vanish. Only the king remains, still wearing your face. He lifts his goblet. Now you may ask a single question. You ask, "What am I?" He smiles. You are the last king's punishment and the next king's prophecy. Then he drinks and collapses into ash. The throne pulses. It knows, feels the shift. The feast is over. You are no longer a guest. You are now what comes after. The thing that walks between kings. The bridge of blood. Later that night, as you return to your chamber, the walls hum. The crown with teeth whispers secrets. There are no heirs. There are no kings. There is only the throne. And the feast will come again. But next time, you won't be host. You'll be the main course. The throne beneath the throne. In the hush of pre-dawn, the world forgets itself. Stone loses memory of shape. Wind forgets where it came from. Even the stars blink, just once, as if they've seen something they were never meant to witness. And far below the royal chambers, far beneath the banquet halls and sacred tombs, lies a stairwell that no architect remembers building. It descends. Forever. You do not walk down. You fall forward, pulled by silence too heavy to resist. The deeper you go, the colder it becomes. But it is not the cold of winter. It is the cold of undeclared wars, of hidden sins committed by those with crowns, of rooms erased from history. You reach the bottom. A door awaits. It is made not of wood or metal, but pressed flesh, and it breathes. You do not knock. You whisper the name of the king who betrayed the sun. The door opens, and there, beneath all thrones, in a chamber that no record dares mention, sits the true throne, not made of gold, not of iron, but of bones, not dead bones, living ones, each still twitching in place. On the throne sits no man, only a presence, a robe with no figure, a crown suspended in air, eyes that are not eyes, just voids remembering light. This is the bound monarch, the one whom all kings fear becoming, the one who rules what must never be ruled. It speaks, but not in sound. Its words crawl into your mind, like vines down your spine. You wear the memory of a crown, but you have not earned its silence. Do you seek truth? You nod. Then you must know this. Every king has a double. You blink. Not a twin, a shadow made flesh, raised in secret, taught the opposite of every law. A mirror, cracked and bloodied, of the monarch above. These shadows are not killed. They are kept. In places just like this. The walls pulse, and now you see them, dozens of cells hidden in the stone. Each one contains a shadow. Some weep, some scream, some smile at you with your own face. You realize these are not just royal shadows. They are your shadows, versions of yourself that could have ruled if fate had blinked differently. One whispers through the bars. You gave the feast your name, but you never gave it your soul. The bound monarch rises. His crown drips black ichor, touches your shoulder, and in that moment, you see everything. The first king who sacrificed a village to silence thunder. The queen who fed her unborn child to the castle walls. The scribe who erased the moon from all chronicles for a king's pride. You see them all. You scream, but only ink spills from your mouth. You awaken back in your chambers. Was it real? Your hands are stained with ink. Your door is gone, replaced by a mirror, and in it your reflection is missing. In the days that follow, changes begin. You are not announced anymore. Servants forget to bow. Whispers move ahead of you like storm winds. They say the king has changed. They are right, because now you know the secret. Every throne sits atop another, and someday you will be the throne someone else must sit upon, unless you find the exit. But there is no exit, only a door made of your regrets, and it opens only when you're ready to forget everything, even your name, even your crown, even the story. The crown blood machine. There are no windows in this part of the castle, only the sound of dripping. Not water, but something thicker, something red. You awaken in a room you do not remember entering. No bed, no door, just a single candle standing on a table made of antlers. And beside the candle, a gear, old, rusted, still ticking, even though it isn't connected to anything. A voice echoes, soft, patient, inhuman. Do you think crowns are chosen? Do you believe bloodlines make a king? The gear begins to spin, and the walls begin to move. They do not shift. They breathe. You are inside the crown blood machine, built long before the idea of monarchy. Not a device of wood or metal, but of memory. This is where kings were made, not born. One by one, they were broken and rebuilt. Ideas were removed. Conscience was reshaped. Empathy was burned out and replaced with vision. The walls light up, not with torches but with moments, flashes of royal childhoods. A prince watching his brother drown and being told not to help. A young queen forced to decide which servant would be buried alive with her father. A duke's daughter asked to name a beast, then told the beast would eat whatever name she gave. You are shown these, not as stories, but as training modules. The voice returns. A true monarch does not inherit rule. He inherits the memory of cruelty. You try to scream, but your voice has been turned into parchment. Words curl off your lips like paper and fall to the floor only to be gathered by rats. They scurry through a crack toward something darker. You follow. The crack widens into a tunnel, and there, under all, is the heart engine, a massive clockwork structure, not built by hands, but by generations of obedience. It runs on the blood of forgotten heirs. It runs on choices kings could have made but didn't, pulses like a heart, because it is a heart. The first kings, still beating, you touch it, and the world explodes into truth. Every policy, every treaty, every royal decree, they all pass through this engine first. It filters out mercy and amplifies power. You are told, you cannot be king unless this machine accepts you. And to be accepted, you must offer it your first sin. Panel opens in the floor. Inside is a memory of yours, one you buried long ago. A choice, a betrayal, a sacrifice. You don't want to look, but you must. It's the night you turned away from someone who needed you, not as a ruler, but as a friend. They begged for help, and you walked past. Now the memory bleeds, and the machine feeds. You collapse. The room dims. The candle goes out. The gear stops spinning, and the voice says only, now you're ready for the next door. But there's no handle, no hinge, only a mouth on the wall, open, smiling, and inside, the steps continue downward. You enter the mouth, and behind you it whispers, there are kings beneath kings, and beneath those, kings made of nothing but hunger. You fall, for a long time, but you never hit the ground, because there's no ground, only a throne made of mirrors. And it's empty, but waiting for you. The throne of echoes. You are not alone. Not anymore. The throne made of mirrors stares back at you, each shard reflecting a different version of you. Some are younger, some older. One is laughing, one is crying, one is missing a face. And all of them begin to whisper in unison. You have sat before us. But are you ready to become us? You do not answer, because you don't know what you is anymore. The mirrors begin to twist, not crack, twist, as though they are made of liquid memory. And one by one, the reflections step out. They circle you. Each is a life you could have lived, a version of you that took the crown and made different choices. The tyrant, the prophet, the coward, the flame. One version leans close, eyes completely black, says without lips, I killed them all, and the people sang my name. Another presses cold hands to your face. She says, I gave them everything, and they still fed me to the dogs. Another simply weeps. Its tears turn to crows the moment they fall. The throne speaks. It doesn't speak in words, but in debt. A weight in your chest, the burden of knowing that every royal path ends in silence. Not peace, silence, because kings are not remembered for what they were, only for what they left behind. You step forward, and the throne shatters, silently, but from its pieces, a hallway grows. Yes, grows, like bone, like fungus. The passage ahead is made of regret. Every inch etched with royal sins, sent them to war for grain, lied to save a crown, buried my sister to hide the truth. These walls are not built of stone. They are built of confessions. At the end of the corridor is a boy, just a boy, wearing a crown that's too heavy. He looks at you and asks, why did you make me king? You don't know how to answer, because in truth you did. In some version of time, you were the kingmaker, and this boy was the cost. The boy leads you to the gallery of shadows. Here, The portraits of every medieval monarch flicker like flames. Not paintings, memories frozen in oil. You see the kings who were praised, and the kings who were feared, and you learn the cruelest truth of all. They are often the same person. A servant appears, no face, just a robe and a tray. On the tray is a glass. It holds ink. Drink and you will know the secret, the servant says. You hesitate, but your thirst is not of the body. It is of understanding. You drink, and your eyes change. Now you can see what no other royal could. The hidden doors behind the throne rooms. The secret notes written under royal decrees. The whispers stitched into royal robes. You see what kings were never meant to know, who truly ruled. The real rulers were not crowned. They were cloaked, hidden advisors, orders delivered by mirror, power that moved with silence. Their names were never written, because they wrote the names. Suddenly, the boy begins to fade. His crown falls, and becomes a key. You pick it up, and every whisper around you ceases. The throne, the walls, the portraits, all vanish. Only a door remains. You insert the key. But before the door opens, it asks you a question. Do you want to remember? Because what lies ahead is not history. It is origin. And origin is uglier than legend. You nod, because you must. Because this is the only way forward. The door opens, and what's inside is you. The origin of the room is not a room. It is a womb of silence. No windows, no floor, just breathless dark. You hold the key, pulses, not like metal, like flesh. You step forward. A voice greets you, not from in front, from inside. Welcome back. You don't know what that means, but your bones do. They ache in recognition. Torches ignite without flame. One by one, revealing murals carved in skin. Yes, the walls are made of flesh, taut and warm, covered in history that bleeds. The carvings tell a story older than any kingdom. The crown did not come from men. Men came from the crown. The first king was not a man. He was a hunger. It walked on two legs, but it spoke in fire. The ancient tribes bowed to it not out of fear, but because it burned truth into their skulls. Every king after him wore his lie, a golden ring to hide a chain. The murals show bloodlines like rivers. Some are straight, others fork, but all return to one name. You try to read it, but it's written in mirrors. You can only see your own face reflected in the letters. And then you hear it, a heartbeat, not yours, not one, thousands, beating beneath the flesh walls. This chamber is alive, and it remembers everything the kings tried to forget. You approach a stone basin. Inside is not water, but ash and teeth, small teeth, children's teeth. You recoil, but the basin speaks. These are the foundations of the castle. Not bricks, not mortar, promises, broken ones. Every king made a pact, not with gods, but with the room. They came here on the night before their coronation. They fed the ash. They whispered the truth they would never tell anyone else. And in return, they were given the voice of command, the voice that could not be disobeyed. But nothing is free. The cost was always memory. A part of them, a fragment, was taken, hidden here, stored in the blood walls, so the crown could be passed on, so the next king would inherit silence. You step to a throne made of bone saplings, still growing, still moist. It wants you to sit, but you don't, not yet, because something is watching you. From behind the walls, from behind your eyes, a whisper curls around your ear. You were here before. You gave up everything to forget, and now you remember. You turn, and you see yourself, but older, scarred, eyes hollow, crown fused to the skull. This version of you is not alive, but not dead. Something in between. It raises a hand, and the flesh wall splits open, revealing a mirror made of bone. You are shown the first war waged not for land, but to erase a secret. A queen buried alive for knowing the truth. A prince raised in shadows so no one would know he was born without a tongue. All royal lies, all fed to this place. The older you speaks. This room grows when kings lie. You lied the most. You want to deny it, but your mouth doesn't work, because your voice was borrowed. Long ago, given to the crown. The walls close in, not to crush you, but to remind you, you are not a visitor. You are a returning king. The throne remembers. It opens its arms. Bone and root twisting into a shape you once called home. You sit, and the entire chamber exhales, as if finally fed. The torchlight fades, not to darkness but to truth. A lightless glow that reveals what only kings can see. And now you know, there is no crown, only the debt it brings. And you owe everything. You wake up, but the world has changed. It is not the past. It is not the present. It is the in-between, and you are now its king. But beware, because the next door is not one you open. It is one that opens you. The debt of crowns. The room is gone, but its voice stays with you, like an echo stitched into your ribs. You walk through a hall of extinguished portraits. Every frame once showed a king. Now each is blank. Their faces wiped clean, not with cloth, with judgment. The corridor grows colder, not winter cold, grave cold, as if death has memory, and it remembers you. From the floor, pale hands emerge, not to grab you, to applaud you. They clap slowly, rhythmically. Dead kings welcoming the newest heir. Above you, the ceiling peels open like skin. A giant eye stares down. No iris, no pupil, just a lidless gaze. It watches not your body, but your lies. Every false oath, every buried name, every rewritten history that kept the crown polished. You walk on, each step heavy, because you're not stepping on stone anymore. You're stepping on pledges, crushed, forgotten, and bleeding. Some whisper as you tread. He promised justice. She swore mercy. They all lied. A shadow passes by. It's not yours, but it walks exactly like you. You turn nothing. You walk faster. So does it. Pace behind. Always just a breath behind your heartbeat. At the end of the hall is a door with no handle. It opens only when a lie is spoken. You don't want to, but you say, I deserve the crown. The door swings wide, not because it agrees, but because the room feeds on lies. Inside, a vast underground chamber, walls lined with broken crowns. Hundreds, all rusted. Each one sits atop a skull, some with cracks, some with holes, one still with the jaw screaming open. This is the treasury of regret. Every crown worn by a king who broke the pact. Each one tried to flee the debt. Each one was caught, dragged here, silenced, seated. Skull turned into a reminder. In the center, something shivers. Pile of robes. But it moves. It breathes. You approach, and the robes rise. Not by magic, by worms. Thousands, puppeteering the cloth. Speaking in voices not their own. Do you know what it costs? To wear power not meant for men? To sit on bones and call it a throne? You can't speak. You no longer remember how, because in part 11 your voice was sold. And here, only those who lie can speak. So you listen, as the worm robe points behind you, to a mirror. But this mirror is made from shields, each one dented by betrayal. Your reflection isn't alone. Behind you stands every soul you betrayed. advisors you had executed for knowing too much, lovers you cast away to marry power, children denied titles so your bloodline stayed pure. They don't move, but they judge, in eternal stillness. And then you see her, the one queen who never bowed. She wears a crown of thorns, eyes burned shut, but she knows you're watching, and she speaks not aloud, but into your bones. I warned them the crown was cursed. They buried me instead, and now you carry their curse. You step back, but the chamber grows smaller. The walls tighten, crushing history into your ribs. Every lie ever told by royalty compacts into your chest. And still, the robe of worms speaks. It's not too late. The debt can still be paid. How? You whisper, a soundless plea. It answers, return what was stolen. Give back the years that were bought. Resurrect the names erased. And let the dead speak again. You are given a blade. It's not steel. It's a quill. Ink made from the tears of those silenced. You are to write their names, one by one, on the walls of the living. Not here, out there, where the kings still rule in ignorance. Your hand trembles, not from fear, from memory. You begin to write, one name, then another, and with each name, the room shakes, the treasury cracks, the skulls whisper thanks, and the worms retreat. But the more you write, the more you vanish, piece by piece, because the truth takes payment. You are paying with existence. Soon, your face will be one of the portraits, blank, still, judged, and then, just before you fade, a single voice cuts through, young, clear, uncrowned. Not all kings lie. You turn. A child stands holding a lantern, eyes full of fire, not rage, clarity. She holds a new crown, made of truth, and offers it to you. You hesitate, but you place it upon your head, and the entire chamber erupts, not with flame, with daylight, blinding, cleansing, final. You wake, not in stone, not in blood, but in a field of grass, every blade whispering a name you freed. The wind calls you king, but not in praise, in remembrance, and so you walk into part 13, where truth no longer sleeps, it hunts. The secret that split the empire. You awaken in a chamber that hums, not with music, but with memory. The walls are stitched from banners, royal, bloodied, and torn, each holding a crest that no longer exists. Each sigil belonged to a kingdom that once swore fealty to a single crown, and then tore itself from it. A single flame burns in the center of the room, but it casts no shadows. That means something else is burning here, something older than light. You step forward and the floor shifts, not stone, not earth, but parchment. The floor is made entirely of royal decrees, treaties, marriages, declarations of war, and betrayal, all written in gold ink, all signed in blood. The moment your foot presses on a certain page, the room changes, and suddenly, you're in the center of a throne room you've never seen. But somehow remember, two kings stand on opposite sides of a massive map, etched into marble. Their crowns are identical. Their voices are not. One speaks with ice, the other with ash, but both claim to be the true son of the same father. The left king speaks. He gave me the blade, the right to rule, the strength to crush dissent. The right king counters. He gave me the book, the wisdom to lead, the truth to silence swords. Both are lying. You can see it, not because their mouths betray them, but because behind them on the wall a mural shows the truth. The true heir was a daughter, but in this world, truth was more dangerous than treason. So the daughter was erased, not with poison, but with paper. History did not kill her. The scribes did. They rewrote time. They turned her bloodline into a footnote and built an entire empire on a page that never existed. But now, that page is cracking. Back in the room, the two kings draw their weapons, not against each other, but against the shadows, because something has returned. A voice, not male, not female, but feral. It does not speak in words. It speaks in reminders. Every soldier in the room begins weeping, not because they're afraid, but because they remember. She had eyes like storm glass. She never wanted the throne. She only wanted to stop the blood. Suddenly, the map begins to bleed. The red runs along the rivers first, then the borders, then through the veins of both kings. Their crowns melt into their faces, searing their identities into permanent division. From that moment on, the empire becomes two, not east and west, but truth and control. One side rules by the sword, the other by the silence, and between them, the daughter's shadow walks alone. Now, the room shifts again. You're standing inside a library buried beneath the royal palace. Books line the walls, not bound in leather, but skin. Each volume contains a chapter of the empire that was never told, written in her hand, hidden by the very kings who claimed to defend history. A raven flies overhead. Its eyes are sealed shut with wax, but still it sees you. It lands beside a book that hums beneath your fingertips. You open it, and the air around you freezes, because the words written on the first page are yours. This is not her story. It is yours. The ink is still wet, because you are not just a witness. You are the descendant, not of the sword, not of the crown, but of the truth that split the empire. You were never meant to survive, but secrets have a strange way of returning, especially when they have unfinished business. From deep within the pages, a whisper escapes. She is not dead. She is only hidden, and you are the key. The flame returns, and this time it casts a shadow, a single silhouette, not yours, but hers. She turns, and her eyes meet yours, and then she speaks. We are not two kingdoms. We are one truth, forgotten. Help me remember. The empire did not fall. It was split, and the only way to heal it is to let the forgotten queen return. The queen of ash and memory. The room you stand in is no longer cold. It is burning, but the fire does not devour, it reveals. The walls drip with molten gold, running like tears from portraits that were never meant to be painted. And in the center of it all stands her. Not a ghost, not a memory, but the queen, the one who was erased, rewritten, renamed, now returned. She does not wear a crown. She wears scars. And in this kingdom, scars speak louder than titles. Her voice is soft, not out of weakness, but restraint. They told the world I was mad, she says, her fingertips tracing the ruins of her own lineage, because I remembered what they wanted to forget. The room bends around her presence. The very air kneels. She shows you a tapestry, woven from spider silk and human hair, hidden behind the oldest wall of the palace. On it is not a family tree, but a timeline, and it starts long before her. Before kings, before crowns, before ink tried to tame truth. It begins with a single name, now stitched in blood-red thread. A nail, her real name, never spoken, until now. Anael was not born in a castle. She was born in a monastery that floated above the clouds, a place forgotten by maps but whispered in nightmares by the nobles who feared her return. They sent riders to burn it. But when the flames reached its doors, the wind changed. Not by weather, but by will. The entire sky turned against them. And when the fire cleared, the monastery was untouched. Only the riders burned. Inside that monastery, Anael learned the forbidden art of echo binding, the ability to call memory from stone, to make buildings speak. She could walk into a ruin and hear its last words. She could enter a throne room and learn who truly killed the king. She knew too much, and for that they wrote her out of the world. But exile is a poor strategy against those who don't die. Anael never tried to take back the throne. She tried to expose it. She uncovered secrets that could unmake the kingdom. The royal archives were forged. The kingdom's greatest battle never happened. It was a play. The cathedral was not built on faith, but on burial pits of dissenters. The king at the time, her father, called her dangerous. He locked her in the Iron Mirror Tower, a place where truth goes to forget itself. They thought she starved. They thought she vanished. They thought wrong. She simply waited until the kingdom had forgotten its lies enough to believe its myths. And then she walked back into the capital, not with an army, but with a book, bound in her own skin. She gives you this book now, pulses in your hand. It breathes, and each page is a confession. From kings, from bishops, from generals who wrote themselves into glory and bled others into silence. You turn to one page. It reads, "We buried the queen under the guise of plague. We dressed her in servants' rags. We burned her portrait and sealed her tomb with salt and gold. But she never screamed. She only watched and smiled." Another page. "She spoke once and the bells rang backward for a day. We silenced her tongue with silver thread. But still, she spoke. Not with voice, but with truth." Another. "She is not gone. She is beneath us." Suddenly the ground splits. You fall, but you don't hit stone. You land in the chamber of false coronations, a forgotten vault beneath the throne room where kings once rehearsed how to look noble. Here lie the masks of power, literal ones, dozens of porcelain faces, some weeping, some snarling, all lifeless. Anael walks past them. They wore these when they lied to you. She crushes one under her heel. Sounds like breaking bones. She turns to you. "Do you know what the true crown is?" she asks. "Not gold, not jewels. It's the burden to remember." And then she places something in your hand. A tooth, but not human. It's black, curved, with writing etched along its surface. The language is older than time. You ask what it says. She answers. It says, "He who forgets becomes prey." Then the walls begin to breathe. You're not underground. You're inside something, a living thing. The palace is alive. It has always been, built on a creature long dead, or so they thought. Anael presses her hand to the wall. It opens like skin, and behind it is a throne, not made of gold, but of bones. It belonged to the first monarch. Not a king, not a queen, but a watcher, a being who saw truth not as power, but as burden. Anael sits upon it, and her scars glow. She looks at you now not as an heir, but as a witness. "This throne is not for ruling," she says. "It's for remembering." And now that she remembers, the world will change. But the palace screams, not with voice, with resistance. Every noble who once ruled here left behind a piece of their soul. And those fragments are awakening. Specters in crowns, wraiths in robes, all of them rising now to stop Anael. You watch in horror as a former king made entirely of parchment and ink steps forward, wielding a scepter that leaks tar. Another, sewn from gold coins and whispers, drips venom from his teeth. They surround her, but she does not rise. She speaks only one sentence. "You are not kings. You are edits." And with that, she breathes, not air, but fire, the fire of memory. And one by one, the false kings burn to footnotes. You close the book, but it keeps whispering. And now, it's your name it calls, because the true power is not in blood or blade. It is in the ones who remember. And now that you do, you can never forget again. The final secret, the king who erased himself. You walk through the last gate now. It groans like an animal, ancient iron teeth grinding open. Behind you, 24 doors lie closed, each one a chapter, a curse, a confession. But this is the final corridor. No crown waits at the end. No royal banner stirs, just silence, and secrets deeper than any before. The air is cold, but not from wind. It's the chill of forgotten memory. This is where the story ends, or rather, where it erases itself. Let me tell you about King Morkant the Vanisher, a monarch not remembered because he made sure of it. He ruled a realm unnamed in the records, a kingdom that once stood between forests so dense, sunlight never reached the earth. No modern historian knows the land. No map shows its borders. Even its name was scrubbed from stone, its language twisted into nonsense over time. And all because the king willed it so. They say King Morkant sat on a throne of carved obsidian, not gold. Every visitor was blindfolded before entering his court. Every servant's tongue was ritually scarred to speak only in broken syllables. He forbade mirrors, paintings, even coins bearing his image. He outlawed scribes. His goal? To vanish even as he ruled. The final king who wanted to be unkinged by history. But why? And how? The kingdom that swallowed itself. At first, his people adored him. Morkant was a scholar, a poet, a strategist. He brought prosperity without violence, harvest without cruelty, and law without torture. But then, after his 40th year, something changed. He began to fear memory, not death, memory. He wrote strange verses, cryptic and whisper-thin. To be known is to be chained. To be seen is to be possessed. I will be free. He tore down his grandfather's statues. He burned the royal library scroll by scroll. He passed a law. Any record of his name must be erased or punished by blinding. Some thought him mad. Others whispered of an ancient deal. A pact with a forest spirit, an oracle, a god of forgetting. But all who asked too loudly vanished. Monasteries were silenced. Oral storytellers had their tongues cut. Coins were melted. Tombstones chipped clean. And Morkant smiled. The Vault of Ash. The heart of the royal palace held a sealed chamber known as the Vault of Ash. Only the king and 3 robed keepers could enter. No light was permitted. No ink. Inside, they say, the final truths of the realm were kept. A book with only one name, a mirror with no reflection, and a bell that could unmake voices. No one who entered ever spoke again. When the king's final year approached, the kingdom held no mourning, no banners, no bells. His body was never displayed, his grave unknown. He had ordered it all. Even his death must vanish. And so it did. And yet, why do we know this? Why are you here walking this corridor of stone? Because something cracked. The keepers failed. A page survived. A single torn parchment, buried inside the wall of an abbey swallowed by ivy. Found by a monk who painted it in red wine and smuggled it west. That page found its way to a forgotten archive. And then to us, and from us to you. You now carry the one truth King Morkant feared most. He existed. He was real. And the last secret he kept was that he failed. The room with no exit. At the end of the corridor, you find a small wooden door. No symbols, no guards. Just a latch. You open it. Inside is a simple chamber. Stone floor, no furniture. A fire burned out long ago. And on the wall, scratched over and over in dozens of hands, Remember the forgotten king. You turn, but there is no way out. The door is gone. Only silence now, and the story remains inside you. We hope you enjoyed the story, a journey through the hidden corridors of power, fear, and forgotten truth. If it stirred your curiosity, your dreams, or simply helped you rest a little easier tonight, then our work is done. Stay with us for more untold tales and timeless mysteries. And don't forget to subscribe to Story Vault.